Now, to be clear, we're taping this before the Fed meeting, before the results of the Fed meeting are announced on October 30th. So everything I say here, take that with a grain of salt if you're watching it after the Fed meeting comes out. I'm going under the assumption that the Fed will cut rates, probably also indicate that they're going to pause, but that's much more of a toss-up, as you may have seen in previous articles and posts that I've had on the site. But the feeling that I have is that the path of least resistance is higher. Many of the broad markets and many of the industry groups themselves have been bumping up against long-term resistance and have started to finally peak through. We really haven't broken out to the upside. I think it would take a remarkably friendly Fed to cause a big breakout, but there is always the risk of what I call a blow-off top, and that would be very damaging if you're short the market without any upside protection. Basically because these blow-offs can happen. You get into the end of the year. It is basically the end of the year for mutual funds this week. A lot of them basically then have to start putting together their capital gains reports, et cetera. But the broader funds which have year-end marks, a lot of them are going to want to get this market going. Remember, seasonally, if you believe in sort of the May sell in May and go away theory, which has been borne out over the years, is that seasonally a good time to invest is October to April. Well, it's October, so the question becoming, does that hold? There are plenty of risks to the market right now. I don't even want to elaborate them because we can go on for days, but the market seems to be shrugging them off. I think if there's a fundamentally favorable monetary backdrop, the market has room to run. I also just get the sense that people want it to go higher, and usually in the short term, the market gets what it wants. Also, flip side being in the long term, market tends to penalize the majority of people if there's too much of a consensus, but I don't think we're there yet. So what I would say is I think the trend seems to be higher. We do seem to have broken through old support. It hasn't been on huge volume. It hasn't been with a ton of conviction. So what I would say is if you feel you want to fade this rally, I would still keep some upside protection in place. I figure that is the greater risk. But we want to, I think in general, things feel relatively good, at least this day before the Fed meeting, although all bets are off depending on what they say tomorrow.